Attorney's Office and Guatella, Hargraves, and Shamari, PLLC. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Nicolello. And we have...
You have Gerald Podlosak.
Okay.
This is an extension of a contract. It arises out of a conflict that comes in the racism matter. At this time, it would be increasing the maximum amount of the contract by $450,000, but only encumbering $75,000. And to date, the firm has only billed approximately $8,200.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Podlosak? Any public comment? Okay, there being none, all those in favor of E-252 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the item passes 4-3. The next E-contract is E-254, a personal services agreement between the County of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and ECOM USA, Inc. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Hunt, second by legislator Taylor.
E-254 is a personal services agreement with ECOM to do the evaluation of the aqueduct that runs between Cedar Creek and the Bay Park Sewage Treatment Plant. This aqueduct evaluation will be part of looking towards moving the treated effluent utilizing the Cedar Creek outfall, which is our ocean outfall, unlike the Bay Park outfall, which goes to the bay.
Any questions of Mr. Arnold regarding this item? Yes, you may. Minority Leader.
Mr. Arnold, this is for a study, you said, right?
This is to evaluate the condition of the existing conduit that used to run the New York City's water supply on the Sunrise Island.
And this would divert the sewage from Bay Park to Cedar Creek?
Divert the treated effluent, yes. After it's been treated at Bay Park, it will be the treated effluent.
Treated effluent.
Yeah, treated effluent, yes. This will be treated water that will be relocated to the Cedar Creek outfall. Will not be run through the Cedar Creek plant, only using the outfall.
Oh, so it's still going to go to Cedar. It's still going to go to Bay Park, and then from there it's going to be diverted to Cedar Creek.
That is correct.
Treated. Yes.
Any other questions from me? Any other questions from the
if I may, just really
sure,
quick.
You may.
I'm sorry, Mr. Arnold. So the situations that we saw in Baldwin and Hempstead with the flooding, Barnes Avenue, a lot of that was attributed to that Bay Park couldn't handle the level of sewage. I remember that coming up during 2012 during Sandy. This wouldn't address that. Because this is going to be after the fact. I understand that correctly.
It's not the Bay Park plant couldn't handle the Barnes Avenue issue. It was the collection system infrastructure during peak rain events and tidal events could not handle the water.
But we had heard complaints from residents in Baldwin that had said that they were seeing the sewage come up in their properties. You're saying that's because of the collection, not because of the Bay Park sewage treatment?
Right, the piping that gets to Bay Park during certain rainstorm events when infiltration was occurring and inflow was causing a backup. Also when the tidal areas went over the bulkheading and flooded the sewer pipes, we also had the same condition. The Hempstead pump station project that is ongoing now, where we're diverting sewage from the village of Hempstead to Cedar Creek, will be addressing that situation by lessening the impact of the amount of sewage that is running in the interceptor that runs along the Barnes Avenue community.
So the areas that were, and this is my last question, Madam Thompson. So the areas that were devastated by Sandy, such as East Rockaway, Bay Park, these are areas that you believe the county has done what they need to do in terms of upgrade for Bay Park, and we shouldn't see those things happen again in the event of a drastic event such as Superstorm Sandy?
You have a couple different things you're talking about. Specifically the Barnes Avenue, they're aiming by diverting about, I think it's like 5 million gallons of sewage away from Bay Park and interceptor. We will lessen the likelihood of a severe storm impacting that community. The other areas of East Rockaway, you had many different things going on with Sandy, where you had tidal flooding, the fact the plant was not operating, all those, the plant with the redundancy being built into the plant today. We should not have a situation where the plant shuts down that would cause the backflow of sewage. That's the berm project, that's elevating generators, that's hardening the infrastructure that does the pumping.
Thank you, Ms. Arnold.
Deputy Presiding Officer Nicolello.
Just want to clarify something from my understanding, Mr. Arnold, which is that the treated effluent. The idea is to see if this aqueduct will be sufficient to allow this treated effluent to go from Bay Park to Cedar Creek for the purpose of accessing the outfall pipe, right?
That is correct.
So it's something that maybe it's still going to be extremely expensive, but it's something that may be viable as opposed to all these years being talked about treated, an outfall pipe at Bay Park.
That is correct.
Okay, thanks.
I have Adrian Esposito, please. Who I put in a slip to speak on this item. And welcome, Adrian.
Good afternoon, members of the legislature. My name is Adrian Esposito. I'm the executive director at Citizens Campaign for the Environment. While I know there's a number of concerns, and I can only imagine a great deal of stress, dealing with contracts right now, we're going to ask you to please vote yes for this one. We have been, along with many other environmental groups and communities and several of the legislators and other levels of government, working for over a decade to fix the issue of the Bay Park sewage treatment plant, which generates between 50 and 58 million gallons of treated sewage going into the Western Bays. This viaduct, if it is in good integrity, that's what this contract will do. They'll actually get into the viaduct. It was built in 1908. It's steel. It's 6 foot in diameter. They need to walk through it and just investigate it to see if there's cracks, if there's breakages, or if it's in good shape. And even if there are some slight, imperfections in it, which you would expect considering it's 100 years old, can it still be sleeved and can it still be lined to act as the conduit? The question from, legislator Abrahams was, will it take treated sewage? The Bay Park treatment facility is being upgraded as we speak. They're adding 2 levels of denitrification, which is great news. It'll take it down from 35 parts per million to 17 parts per million of nitrogen. And so the treated sewage will be diverted to the Cedar Creek ocean outfall pipe, not to the plant. And not only will it be cheaper, which by itself is great, it will save time. So it'll save about $200 million, and we have been told that if the viaduct is in good shape, that we could do this in 18 months. So we won't need another EIS on a new ocean outfall pipe, you won't need a new ocean outfall pipe, and you can save time and money. And I think there aren't many things that we consider that we can say that saves time, saves money, and saves the environment. We predict, according to experts and scientists that we've had look at it, that those back bays, the western bays, can actually begin a restoration effort as little as 1 year after the sewage gets diverted. We know that that Bay Park sewage treatment pipe is putting in 85% of all the nitrogen loading into the western bays. It's causing those wetlands to be very weak and fragile, causing finfish populations to be almost zilch. Shellfish beds have closed, you name it. We can restore the bay, we can save money, we can save time if this is a viable option. We hope it is, we don't know, but we at least need to investigate it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Yes, you may.
Adrian?
Yes.
I want to thank you for coming down, and we agree, my colleagues and I were talking, we agree with everything you said, the sentiments that you said, and obviously it would go a long way towards saving money for the county if you're able to have the treated effluent go out through this aqueduct, viaduct, and then eventually go out through Cedar Creek. However, I'm sure as you know, and you mentioned in your comments, the procurement. And we plan to vote no, but it's not because we do not believe the project to be worthy, nor is it because we don't believe the project doesn't make sense. We are voting no because we don't have any idea of the procurement process on how AECOM was selected and whether or not they would pass the levels of scrutiny of an independent inspector general, which I think most Nassau County residents would agree we strongly need in this county. So I just wanted to let you know before we actually take the vote of our plan.
Thank you.
And again,
I will say to you, Adrian, I've known you for a number of years, but you've never lost your enthusiasm and your commitment to the environment, and today is truly evident.
Thank
And I'm sure that this project is going to go through.
Madam Chair, if I could-
Legislator Dunn.
I just want to thank you also. My in-laws lived on Meadows Channel where you used to be able to swim off the docks, used to be able to go fishing and water ski and all that. You were not able to anymore.
Don't
And
do
this
it now.
This may clean that area up. It's going to take a while still for it to
Yes.
flush out and all. But this is a great step in the right direction. The people of the South Shore, the entire South Shore need this. You know, Cedar Creek takes 70 million gallons a day of sewage. So, you know, there's this, and it can take up to 110, I think 120. So there's plenty of space for it to do its job. And this isn't going to interfere with it because we already have Jones Beach feeding into the outflow pipe
Right.
also. So it's a good deal. It's a good thing. And we don't have to worry about Senator Schumer getting us money or whomever getting us money to do a big pipe. It's a win, so we're going to vote for it. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
And there being no other comments?
Thank you very much.
All those in favor of E254? I am sorry, Ms. Bernaday. Okay, you may come before us again.
Rita Meredith Baldwin. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Again, I agree with the minority leader, Abrahams, that the procurement process continues to challenge any consideration because the lack of integrity just continues to permeate through this process. But as a Baldwin resident, I would generally support a study because our residents are hurting, particularly those in the Baldwin Harbor area who continue to be impacted by the remnants of the sewage oil as well as rainwater that is still damaging most of their homes that we still pay the taxes and penalties and fees. So, Mr. Nicolello, I'm sure you would probably be shocked that this is one of those issues that we would possibly agree with all things being considered. Hey, that's the beauty of being in America. We can agree to disagree and we can keep it moving. But having said that, my concern is there's a lot of what ifs as it pertains to that, and I do know, having interacted with a number of the residents who live near Cedar Creek, as well as those who live near Bay Park, the concern is always with regard to the environmental safety of the residents. Don't know what a fin fish looks like. I guess it has rights too, but my focus really is on those residents that live in those communities that continue to have these projects that get approved. I mean, it's kind of similar to Brentwood when you've got all that illegal dumping and things of that nature, or the ones along South Oyster Bay Road where we had trees just come and just got stuff cut down. So I'm asking again, if the majority is going to decide to do what they're going to do anyway, I would normally support this study because it is information that we do need, but it's not going to address the fact that neighborhoods in the North Baldwin area as well as the South Baldwin area, we get one good nor'easter, we don't have to wait for another Sandy, and we have flooding, we have backflow, because we have old chambers, we have old water tanks that cannot hold the water in those areas. And usually our fight is having to convince the county executive's office or the town of Hempstead that it is a town road or a county road before we could even get somebody out to consider what to do with the road. As a matter of fact, I had to fight the town myself when we had to get our gas lines replaced because most of our houses are upwards of 50 years old, and the county had funding and the town had funding to fix the roads. I said, you need to fix the gas lines first. Unfortunately, some streets in Baldwin, they did not have people who advocated for them, so their roads were dug up 3 times. Fortunately, mine was only dug twice. So, the vigilance, again, I commend Mr. Abrahams for that, and I would hope that we can come together so that the residents can be properly serviced, and that the flooding issue overall, as well as the sewage issue, and the inclusion of diverse suppliers, particularly in Bay Park and Cedar Park, which still is non-existent, occurs. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, all those in favor
I'm
of...
sorry, I'm Madam President Officer. If I could just have Mr. Daniels come up again, Colin.
Who?
Connell, sorry. Connell.
On this item here?
Yes, it's on this item. Connell, real quick, has the EFC Council reviewed whether the county has the proper bonding authorization to use the EFC funds for the Sunrise Highway aqueduct?
I mean, they've been informed that the county legislature has passed the bond ordinance and all the materials have been provided to them. I don't know if Ken's still here, but that's my understanding, yes.
Yeah.
So they've been informed, you said?
Sure, certainly. I mean, whenever we do a financing with them, they ask to see everything.
Council's advised me that there was a dispute on whether or not EFC authorization has been presented, and it was a dispute. NIFA had indicated that EFC County should review or take a look at the actual bonding again.
I mean, I don't know. As far as I know, it's been through the EFC board, I believe so.
You looking for Ken?
Yes, Ken. Yeah.
And based on my conversation with Joe Davenport, our chief engineer, EFC's totally aware of all the items we're working on, including the bonding.
Thank you.
All right, the item before us, all those in favor of E254 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the item passes 4. Okay, now, we have several U contracts. I'm going to begin with U68, a personal services agreement between the County of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Health Department and Gustavo Graciano Mendez. Moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Nicola.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Lorraine, Department of Health. Item U68-16 is a contract in the amount of $11,740. This is with Gustavo Graciano Mendez. He provides our food management training, bilingual in Spanish. This food management class is mandated by the Nassau County Public Health Ordinance. It's a 10-hour class.
Okay. Any questions or comments regarding U68? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of U68 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the item passes 4-3. Okay, now, there are several youth contracts or personal services agreement that are all a part of the traffic safety. Those are U72, U73, U74, U75, U77, U78, two more, I believe. Hold on. U79 and U78. U80, excuse me. All right, moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Nicola. All right, Mr. Strong is here to speak on them.
Christopher Mistron, Traffic Safety Coordinator, Stop WI Coordinator. These items are for special enforcement programs and periods ranging from the Police Traffic Safety Grant, which is the buckle up enforcement as well as aggressive driving. They also represent the Stop DWI grant for both holiday enforcement and for special enforcement periods for DWI. They are for the villages that are listed, and that's pretty much breakdown.
Okay, any questions
And again,
or comments?
well, all these are monies, pass-through monies, none are, there's no expense, and again, as before, in many cases, the monies have already been received from the state for the purposes of the grant, and also, as before, they were delayed due to a lot of, between the paperwork and the other things mentioned prior.
Legislator DeRiggi Wood.
So is it correct that each village will handle the procurement themselves, or does the county handle the procurement?
Procurement, there's nothing purchased, these are enforcement periods. So in other words, what happens is, like for the buckle up portions, they had a specific week that they did enforcement. Traffic safety is responsible for monitoring and making sure that the programs were maintained and done during those weeks, as well as gather the data and then report back to the state.
So the programs are done like in-house with the police department?
Right, exactly,
Okay.
yes, they're all enforcement, yes.
All right.
Yes,
So
Bernard.
Chris, this seems more like an IMA, like an intermunicipal agreement kind of thing.
Historically, the way in which we've always done these for at least the last 30 years that I've been here, is we've received the monies from the state, and then for specific enforcement periods, that's whether it be buckle up or a holiday enforcement, so on, traffic safety always went back and contracted with the villages for those particular enforcement weeks to do the enforcements. I've just been doing it the way it's been done for all those years. Starting next year, however, what's happening is that with the exception of the Stop DWI program specific, where the traffic safety will actually just be administering the grant, but the monies will be contracted and going straight through to the villages with the state. So we're not going to be the middleman anymore that way. Our responsibility will just be to make sure that the enforcement periods are being kept and monitored.
Okay, all right. No other comments from the legislators, any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of U72, U73, U74, U75, U77, U78, U79, and U80, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, it is unanimous, Frank, for all of those. Now I'm going to go back to B34, which is a contract between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and Wells Back Electric Corp. of Long Island. Motion, please. Moved by Legislator Dunn, second by Legislator Gaylor. All right, okay, Mr.
Ken Arnold, Public Works. B34 is a Public Works bid contract for our traffic signal maintenance program. This contractor maintains all traffic signals, responds to emergencies, and defends the county's liability on the operation of the signals. This contract was publicly bid.
Any comments or questions from the legislators? Any public comment? Okay, there being none, all those in favor of B34 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. 4, 3. Now I'm going to, before I recess rules, I'm going to untable item 540, which is the income amnesty program. Motion to untable, please. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator Nicolau. Okay, now, I believe all those in favor of untabling 54016 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the item is untabled. Okay, now, I believe the county attorney is here to assist in our understanding of the law as proposed. Assessment is also here to field any questions on assessment. Obviously, we expect that if statistical data is requested, they may need to provide that information between now and the full legislature. And we are also, as budget review for analysis, we understand that they are now working with assessment to provide us with any potential budgetary impact this program may provide. And now, I ask the county attorney to please, who's going to briefly describe the contents of this law. Who's doing it?
Good afternoon. I'm Anthony Alcieri from Assessment, my colleague John Bolognini. In 2013, the income and expense law was passed by the legislature requiring all Class 4 income producing properties to file an I&E statement with the Department of Assessment. The law provided that properties that failed to file would be subject to a monetary penalty. These filings were somewhat impacted by a temporary restraining order, which has since been lifted. The present law before you allows commercial property non-filers due process, entitles them to hearings, and to participate in an amnesty program.
Okay. That's from the assessor's office, but we have from the attorney's office, county attorney's office.
Connell Daniel from the County Attorney's Office. As Tony said, it's a local law that provides for a voluntary partial amnesty from the imposition of fines under Section 6-30 of the Administrative Code. And the process would be that if taxpayers who were delinquent signed up for the program, they would pay 75% of the amounts due for the 3 years currently in effect under the law. The department would send out a notice with the schedule of the penalty, and they would have 60 days to sign up for the program.
Any questions or comments from the legislators?
Just a comment.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. We had a chance to review the amnesty, and we think there is some merit for trying to get some of the folks that are out there in terms of the commercial tax businesses to be able to pay this liability. But at the same time, we cannot support the use of, or the potential use of using this measure to try to fill a budget gap. I mean, none of you are here to speak on that, but if we're thinking that this is going to be the silver bullet that helps us get through the county's finances and possibly look to fill holes in next year's budget, we cannot support it for that reason. But if the county feels that it can get money from this amnesty program, then we are in support of it. But I just want to make sure we're clear, we are not supporting this mechanism as a one-shot of revenue that will be an infusion for the county for one time and then it's gone forever.
Okay, any other comments from the legislators? All right, any public comment? Yeah. Who said yes? Oh, I should know. I should know, Meredith. Miss Meredith.
It's all right. Sometimes the element of surprise might believe it. Again, my concerns with regard to this, what are the numbers, because again, we don't have this information in terms of those who would be considered in this class 4, I believe I heard, the amount of the outstanding tax, who determined the level of the partiality, what were some of the causes that led these individuals or these owners to, in fact, get to this point, and what does this mean as far as the long term? Because I definitely agree with the minority leader that these various and sundry little ideas that keep popping up, and it's like, okay, well, we anticipate getting X dollar from opening these retail stores that no one's going to be able to afford to shop in, and the minimum wage jobs that they're going to provide are not going to pay any bills in anyone's homes living in Nassau County. That this is just another one of those, yes, we're going to get this amount of money and it's going to fill in the hole, and at the end of the day, 6 months later, you're still going to be back amending something else, adding another surcharge, increasing another fee, or cutting another service. So I would hope that since I can't get any answers to my questions, as a taxpayer and a concerned citizen, that somebody's ear along there is kind of taking what I am saying into consideration, so I've not been wasting my words all afternoon. But I just have to continue to put it out there, because maybe somewhere someone might be listening and hear it and think maybe this is an idea that we need to either work on, or it might be viable, or let's just see about what we can do to, as opposed to putting another twist into the struggling business owners as well as homeowners in Nassau County, work with them so they're more inclined to do the right thing as opposed to trying to not pay taxes into a system that seems to be so tainted and lacking in integrity. Thank you.
I want you to know, Ms. Merity,
Yes, ma'am.
that your comments do not fall on deaf ears. We're listening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Presiding Officer.
Just a few comments. Has been referred to the Independent Budget Review Office, and we'll be looking for a report and their analysis within the next couple of weeks in terms of the parameters of what's at issue. Part of this is that after the income and expense law is passed, there are some large entities, commercial entities, that probably would rather pay fines than disclose their income and expense statements, because they may have information that they put out to mortgage companies, etc., that they don't want anything that conflicts that they present to the county. So this may in fact become, this will be a recurring revenue, because it may not be to the same extent because you have 3 years worth of delinquents, for want of a better word, out there. And going forward, you'll have it on an annual basis, number one. Number two, after we pass the income and expense law, the compliance rate has skyrocketed. So my understanding is now that we're getting something in the area of in the 70% range of people actually complying. And just on the income and expense law, the way it helps the county is able to get information about the profitability of these entities that are challenging their taxes or their assessment. And by getting that information, we're able to make corrections so that going forward, we reduce our exposure. So in a nutshell, that's what this is all about.
All right, there being no other comments, all those in favor of item 540? What's the matter?
Are we, Ms. Lacurdo, I think you were up on this one, right? Oh, it was Connell? Sorry. Oh, I thought I saw Lisa come up with it. Oh, all right. Connell, real quick, are we retaining counsel to oversee this program for us?
Litigation, just the litigation.
Just the litigation? Who is the counsel we're seeking on the litigation?
That's Rifkin Radler.
Rifkin Radler. You guys know where I'm going to go.
Yeah, since what, 2013 on this, Lisa? Or since what? 2014 when the case was filed. Okay.
Thank you, Connell.
All those in favor of item 540 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
The item passes 4-3. And guess what? We are now, the Rules Committee is now in recess, and the next committee is Public Safety. And let me tell you something, I think I've been sitting here almost 4 hours, and we need to stretch. But
They got 30 for them.
So, Public Safety is up next, and we will be back after all of the committees are vetted, and the rest of the Rules Committee will.